All right, Joey, you want to start it off?
Here we go. The Rising Star podcast is
back.
back. We're back in action. We got special guest fan with us, Robby Rosenthal, right? Is that correct?
You can say your name if we say it wrong.
And our special secret guest, we got the one and only
Drumroll.
Don Kincaid, Center Kincaid Ring Files.
What's up? What's up?
The podcast world.
Return to the podcast
Along
world.
with the Rising Star.
But Don, I'm a little disappointed with you with what you're wearing right now.
Oh my God, we're never gonna get the end of it for the rest of this podcast.
This is a beautiful Boujii merch that I did
You
not
mean
steal.
it's a car rag for like waxing cars, right?
It's a car rag he uses that he got chased away from Q with.
You know what? I know why he's doing this, because I bust his balls all the time, and I say all the time that he bullies Q. Which, guess what? They go back and forth. He goes and picks on Q. Q gets pissed off. He goes after him on Facebook. They go back and forth.
You need to come one day, Rob, to the shenanigans.
And it just doesn't stop.
Q and Don.
And like, why don't just hug it out? Come on.
I don't think that's ever gonna happen, and if it does happen, it's gonna be at like one of those like really big events. But I think Q would have to get paid a lot of money to hug Don.
Rob, do you want to see an example of when me and Q see each other? Because I could do an example right now before we go any further.
I'm all for it.
Go for it.
Okay. Okay, this is a facsimile, if you will.
I can't get over the fact you have that.
Of Ref Q, okay?
The fact that there are buddies of Q, I love it. But the fact that you got one is even more funny because, you know.
How does even one acquire one of those things?
Gotta go through, I don't know if it was Alex or Q, but you
know. Don't tell Q we got one of these. It's a secret. Shh.
No, don't worry. We won't tell him anything.
We'll put a censor bar over it.
But yeah, I got it. Like I said,
when me and Q see each other, it goes something like this. Hey, Q, estupido. And then Q will go, maricon, puto, fucking, fuck you, Kincaid, and then we just go,
but see, and, now you need to put like a little like a middle finger thing on it, because that's what he always does to
something Melito Flaco Diablo, all that other stuff. You call him stupid bald ref, and you know it goes back and forth,
literally
all over social media at times. I you know, which is why when we're at a show, we're somehow like boxes and shoes go flying across the building in Waterbury. You know,
it's like
seems like a good night. It's like Don's a magnet to it. I don't know. Yeah, I gotta stick by my fellow Yankee fan though. That's the thing. Yeah, shut up, Met fan.
I am a Met fan.
Anyways,
proud of it too.
Yeah. So.
Proud losers over here. Well, on this end.
We've all been the same boat the last few years. So.
Oh God.
Sorry.
And that's why I'm wearing a Boujii shirt.
Because he's a winner.
To be fair, I'm wearing Insanely Rude. You know.
I'm wearing a Ranger shirt because I just.
She's a hockey girl.
Okay.
I'm a baseball girl. So.
That's all right. That's fine merch. That's fine merch.
Well, it's like The Rock.
Hey, man, wrestlers wear Under Armour all the time, so nothing wrong with that. So, but Don, it's good to see you again, brother.
Yeah. So
I want to wrestling force.
Well, a little bit. I'm dipping my toes back in. I've only been to 2 shows since June. So I haven't really come back yet, if you will. I went to 1 PAPW and 1 TOS. Training Day 45, that was a hell of a time. We always have a blast at the training day because it's legitimately, boys and girls, if you've never been to the TOS Dojo in East Hartford, Connecticut, 87 Church Street, and I'm telling you, if you've never been there, you walk up the stairs. I call them the legendary flight of stairs. You walk up the stairs, you go down a hallway, you take a left. You go down another hallway, you take a right. You take another hard right, and in through a door is a room. And in this room, and I'm talking, it's as big, probably just a little bit bigger than my bedroom, is a wrestling ring and about 30 chairs worth. Okay, maybe it's 2 of my bedrooms now that I think about it.
I was going to say, I'm like, can your bedroom really fit?
Now that I think about it. But it's such an intimate and close setting when it comes to wrestling in general, never mind professional wrestling, and watching some of the students that are molded right there at TOS and some of the talent that come from many different areas to TOS and really give us some awesome shows.
Shout out to man, Stevens, Long Island.
And yeah, I mean, we get guys from NYC. We get guys from like up in Albany, area, Syracuse. Mike Skyros, he drives from Syracuse. I mean, just all over the place, guys and girls come from to make these events happen. So
I love Mike
to have
Skyros,
it
man.
such an intimate setting, though, Jackie G, we always talk about it. The TOS
So-
and how intimate it is.
Oh, I could definitely tell you because I've been to so many training days at this point. Sometimes I think Terry Duffy, my brother, he lives there, I think, because he's always
He just
going
lives under the ring.
No, because he goes to shows. He will show up at shows like 3 hours before they like start, and then there's always an ongoing like the whole joke was my buddy Mike Swicky would always show up to every show late, but then Terry would get there before the show and everything. And the one reason Terry didn't even come, we make the joke now because Terry was sick with the flu, unfortunately. We said that he stayed at the dojo when they canceled it and postponed it, and he camped outside the dojo all the way up till the day of the show when he found out he was sick with the flu. So, but no, like if you want to be serious, the training day shows are very intimate. It's a small room, and me and Kelsey have been to a show that has been at a
larger event.
No, I'm saying we've been to a show at like a training school, like with Creative Pro.
Yes.
We went to that one show.
Yes,
and
it's very similar.
The truth of it is that with the way that it's such an intimate setting, you see this little room. Not too little, but you get this room, you got the ring inside of it. You've got, posters from previous Test of Strength shows hanging up all around the area.
Same with Creative Pro. They had all their
You've got all these classic,
rings.
You got some classic references to wrestling from the yesteryear. You've got like I mentioned the posters, right? You see holes in the wall from training that obviously somebody tried to dive out the ring. You get to see this whole intimate setting where everybody sets up. And
when you're a fan, like if you have a specific wrestler you're a real fan with, and if you're up and close with them, they will like either fuck with you, like we had cabbage thrown at us.
Leo Sparrow, but no, or you get the most love in the world,
exactly,
like my beloved Ryan Frost.
Well, see, mine even Stevens, because Q, I'm gonna bring Q up one more time. Totally took away their title for no reason. I'm not letting that go. Never gonna let that go.
To be fair,
every time you bring up Q.
Well,
I was very neutral during that match, and
they took away the title.
I'm very neutral. I love the step dance. I love the even Stevens.
Nope, they did not cheat.
I promise that I would not
have won that.
Were you quiet?
Nope.
Why bickering when we were only 6 minutes into this? That's Terry's favorite part is when you and I bicker. I swear to God. But no, I was very neutral for that match. I was very. Well, you shut up. I'm gonna shave your head.
Oh.
So, but I was very neutral for that match. I said both these guys. I was trying to make that the match of the night, and it was the match of the night. Yeah, regardless of what you think of 2TW, that was the match of the night, in my opinion, in my book. They stole the show because both teams are amazing, regardless of the outcome that Kelsey wasn't too thrilled with. No,
that was definitely the star of the show.
But it is funny because Kelsey went from loving Q to death as soon as she got there to not even wanting to be anywhere near him by the end of the show.
Don't want to be near him. I just want him to admit that he lied. Not until he admits he was wrong.
Well, then maybe we need to get Q on at some point.
We do. I would love to go in with that.
I know Don probably doesn't like that idea, but
it is what it is. You got to get them all. You got to get them all.
Just not surprise Q with Don, because then he might cancel with it. He might shut off in 1 minute with Don's episode of Kincaid Files.
Well, anyway, we're enough about the indie circuit. Hold on. Finish your thing, Don. No.
I was gonna say, out of all the interviews I've done, I think I'm at like 369-ish area. I forget. It's been a minute. Q to date is my shortest, and you would think Ichiban would be because he only says 2 words. Well, except as of late, we got to talk about that, Jackie G. But Q is my quickest interview for Stirring the Pot to date with 40 seconds. He was smoking a blunt. He gave me a middle finger, and he hung up on me. Pretty much in that order.
I mean,
yeah. So.
Well, I'm going to redirect a little bit of the conversation. So we always talk about indie wrestlers on this show. That is why we are called the Rising Star, because we really do, in our heart, want to get these guys that are giving their all in the mat, like a platform. Get their name out there. That's the hope of this year of 2024, that we can get their names up there, get our names up there. But I do want to redirect a little bit. So we do have a Royal Rumble coming up. And when we do air this, it's going to be Friday. So I would like to do a little bit of predictions. You know, I don't watch Monday Night Raw as I used to. I'm more, again, into the indie circuit. But I do. Wow. I have to edit that out. We moved. I do want to, you know, that as a wrestling fan, especially growing up watching the Royal Rumble, which is by far my favorite pay-per-view. You never know what's going to happen.
That show of the year.
I would like to do a little bit of predictions, get a little conversation going, and even, you know, have some of the indies guys maybe like and comment and put their 2 cents into who might actually come in. My first prediction, I'm going to say
I have no problem with any indie guys coming on, but if Jay Boujii comes on, I'm deleting this whole video.
Oh my God. Anyway, my first prediction, because now they have the Women's Royal Rumble. I have a big feeling, now that CM Punk is back, I have a feeling that AJ is going to come back. I don't know if she's going to stay, but I have a feeling either she's going to be she's going to have something to do with the Royal Rumble.
I think she comes back for a one-off surprise.
Like just to say, hey, I'm still here, I'm still relevant.
Yeah.
Peace out.
I think she's going to come back for a tag team match with her husband to take on Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. It's going to either be before WrestleMania or after WrestleMania. I think it would be smarter to do it after WrestleMania to kind of keep the buzz going. Because, like, you know, let's say, God forbid, CM Punk wins and beats Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, you know? I didn't even think of that as a scenario, but the one thing I I had a different scenario on what was going to happen with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. But I do see that could be a possibility, but I would do that after WrestleMania. That would be me.
I could see that happening. Or, like, you know, at WrestleMania, Becky comes out, you know, just gets him disqualified so he doesn't technically lose the title. And then that could be a really good match. Like, after WrestleMania, having AJ come back saying, like, well, now we're going at it. I'm going to take your title or whatever, if she has a title or not. That's, again, I'm sorry. I don't watch Monday Night Raw religiously like I used to, but when I do watch it, I do enjoy it. So,
well, I think in the Women's Rumble, and I usually don't speak on these things. I'm more of an indie thing, but
right,
because that's kind of mainly what I watch is a WWE product. You know, with AJ being seen in a ring, you know, and the CM Punk thing, and people would be really excited to have her come in as a surprise entrant for the Rumble, maybe throw out 2 or 3 ladies herself, get thrown out after the fact, maybe stay in about, you know, 5 to 10 minutes-ish, you know, don't give her too much time. I'm sure she don't want to be in there too much, and you don't want to expose her too much in, you know, visually, you know, on camera.
Kind of keep the surprise going.
Exactly. So I say that would be an excellent surprise for her to come in, do a little something, get out, and then not be seen again. Let the boss hang out like they're doing with Miss Jade Cargill. If you notice, they are really pulling those reins back on one Jade Cargill. They got something special.
Right.
And again, another surprise entrant. Who knows with Jade Cargill? You never know, because then she can just go revert right back to NXT. It's not like she has to go to the main roster when they do these surprise entrants. So I think, you know, you could do that with AJ Lee, make it special, pull her back after the surprise entrant, pull her back, and then do something like you guys were talking about.
I mean, I will say this, though, and just bringing up the women's one more time. If her music drops, I'm going to cry. I love Lita. Well, that's my female. Always has been. Like, when her music drops, it's literally like
I still think Lita's hotter than half the roster right now.
And just even talent wise, like
that was my like teenage. Well,
see, for me,
that was my.
For me, it was trash.
What?
For me, it was trash.
Well, they do utilize Lita. You know, a little.
I will never forget when her music dropped. What it was like a year ago, and I literally texted. I was like, "Oh my god!" And then the next day, we were just like, "Oh my god, Lita!" And then a week later, his girl comes out, and he's blowing up my phone. He's like, "Did you see?" I'm like, "Of course they did." Like, you know, those are always gonna be. They're gonna always be the goats.
Yep.
No matter what, they'll always say, "Oh, Mae Young," and da 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 da. But when it comes to extreme wrestling, Lita has it. And then when it comes to actually getting people on the mat in a way, like, yeah, Trish Stratus was eye candy. We're not all gonna sit here and like not say that she wasn't, but she did.
Puppies.
You know, her and Lita are what set the bar for a while.
I did have them both on my bedroom wall. So
Oh,
They are the
God.
reason that women's wrestling is what it is today.
Yes.
Without the two of them,
And China, we got to throw China in there.
Yes.
There's a lot of
China, RIP,
influence.
but
There's a lot of people on the indie scene though that like influenced from Lita and Trish Stratus.
Exactly. And
you know,
China.
and
We gotta
China.
throw China in
Never
there.
forget China, dude. That's why the Test of Strength Women's Championship was named in the 9th Wonder of the World
Mhm.
tournament. You know, that's something I do not forget.
That's something I really hope.
And I was so happy when Alex called it the 9th Wonder of the World tournament
I
because
just
it's
hope
paying homage to one of the most greatest women's wrestlers
Who's
that revolutionized wrestling. You know, and I
You
feel
know?
like it still bums me out that she doesn't get the
well,
credit.
and that's kind of what I was gonna say.
that
I
she
really
deserves.
hope that one day, and it obviously doesn't have to be this year or like the next 5, but one day I really do hope that WWE does her right and like really
See, I think,
puts her name
I
there.
think with Triple H in charge,
It's
that
gonna
kinda-
happen.
Yeah, she's gonna get that more recognition than with Vince because we all know how Vince was with people who he thought wronged him.
Right.
You know, they never came back.
Nope.
They were never talked about. So I think with Triple H, it's entirely possible that she.
I really hope so. I really
That's
hope with the way things have been going with under his realm, that people that didn't get the recognition are going to get the recognition. The people that never really got a chance in the last decade maybe will, even may not be heavyweight champions, will get their spotlight.
I mean, it's as simple as look at one of the hottest acts right now in LA Knight. Vince made him Max Dupree. Right?
Oh
Vince,
my God, I forgot
yeah.
he was something else.
Vince had no idea how to use somebody like him, and Triple
No,
H
'cause
understands what he is and what he can.
I'm
bring.
really convinced, and now we're kind of backtracking a little bit, but I'm really convinced that Vince was so stuck in the 80s realm. If you're not big, if you're not, this muscle head, you're not going anywhere. But then you have these small guys.
And
again, in the indie circuit, there's more small dudes.
And
like
that's why I
skinny dudes.
feel like, to bring it back to the indie circuit, that's why I feel like right now with Ichiban and MLW, I feel like it's perfect to have Alex Rojas with him at MLW, because in my book, he knows how to talk each of these. I think Don froze on us.
No, not at all.
Oh
my God! Dude!
He literally was like a statue. I just
told me
looked
worse
up
than
and he
Phil
was
this
like,
morning. Bro just told us worse
oh
than
my
Phil
God,
in
I
his
woke up
900
to
comments. This
33 notifications. But
I had,
he didn't
yeah,
really
but at least you didn't have like okay,
Yeah, I
like
didn't get
Sideways Simon, dude.
No.
Or Jimmy had like a bunch of 12s on all of his
Nope,
photos.
I had actual comments, so
I actually thought Don froze on us. I was getting worried.
he was just sitting.
No,
You
no,
were
no.
You were stuck.
No, you guys were on a great topic. You were doing some stuff there. I have to feel though, because they don't utilize a lot of their talent where they utilize X amount of their talent.
Right.
So they like to bring in older talent, being on the women's side, and I'm kind of reverting back to that. And they'll bring back like a Melina and have her get thrown out in like 2 minutes. I wish they wouldn't waste a little something like that. There could be more names that we
Oh my
haven't
God, what
seen
was
in a
that?
while that they might be able to pull
She
in.
ran TNA for like a while.
Dixie Carter.
No. I meant like
Gail
in the
Kim?
women's division. Yes, she's another one that just was so mistreated by the WWE, but then was treated so well in TNA. And then when she came back to the WWE, they like, in a way, like it was like, oh, we're gonna treat you well, we're gonna do this for you, we're gonna do that, and then all of a sudden, just nothing. Like,
She
oh,
rolled
you're
out- She rolled out under.
Yeah,
during
like,
a
and that's the
battle
thing, like,
royal
I
and never did it
really-
again.
hope with again Triple H's reign and what he's been doing. And again, everything he's been doing, and I am a Triple H mark. I will say that. My cat is named Hunter. Don't judge me.
I'm
But
gonna
I'm
probably
saying-
lose my left arm when she
If I ever
finally
meet
does meet him because I'm the only one that probably will be
Speak
able
for
to.
me.
I'm the only one that can handle dealing with her in a puddled moment. When
Which
it
I've
comes
had
to
many of
wrestling.
those with.
Don,
some.
let me tell you, when she met Scott Hall,
Oh God, I couldn't
Enzo,
talk. No,
Bully-
Enzo was
Bully
not that
Ray-
bad.
No, you puddled over him too.
A little bit, but Bully. Oh my God,
Bully
Bubba Ray. I was
John
done.
Moxley,
Him, I
all these
couldn't
big
talk.
names. She would not chill out. She was clutching my arm to the point that I thought it was gonna be broken like Orton's father, and I was just like, "Oh God, if we get to Triple H, I'm screwed."
Oh, it's over.
Because
and
she's
fair
not gonna be able
warning.
to say a single
Nope.
word, and it'll never end.
But-
Sometimes I wonder.
I'm gonna need you to videotape that for me.
I probably will.
So I
Go
have
ahead, Don,
two
I'm
things.
sorry.
I have two things I want to say. One is a statement to what Jackie G was saying, and then one is a question for all three of you. Jackie G with the itchy knees, Alex Rojas, Ichiban, seeing Ichiban rise up, like we always talk about. This is what your podcast is about. That's why I was doing STP, getting the students going from the ground up and watching them rise to a different platform. That's what this is all about. That's why we do these things. Seeing Ichiban specifically because you're very familiar with him and the storylines that he's been in and how he acts in the ring and how he works in the ring and just the whole history pretty much of Ichiban. You've been there for quite a bit of time at Test of Strength now.
Yes, and I'm
Seeing
gonna be
him.
honest,
Go ahead.
when I first saw Ichiban, I thought he was like a Pokemon character because I love Ichi. Trust me, Ichiban, I love you to death.
I thought he was a food.
But all he said was his name, so I'm thinking Pokemon. He'd be like Ichiban, #1, and like.
Well, don't were those guys that we saw at NEW and
Who?
oh god, they're they're luchadors, but they're in AEW too, and they go da da, and then
I'm like drawing a blank right
he was
now.
one with he was fighting Mox or no Kenny Omega.
Oh, the Lucha Brothers, Pentagon and
yes, like they kind of
okay.
do the same thing. They like kind of say their one-liner and then they like do their thing. I feel like that's a lot of Spanish wrestlers. They
Yeah,
kind of have a
You
one-liner.
missed that match with Moxley and Pentagon. She was too tired. She was falling asleep in her chair.
No, I think it was Kenny Omega versus him.
Yeah,
I think it was
yeah,
Kenny.
you fell asleep in the chair.
Dude,
like,
I
how'd
was
you fall asleep?
so tired.
She's not a night girl.
I'm not.
She's
I will
definitely
admit
not
that.
a night girl.
As of lately, I have been.
Yeah,
But I
because you have
think
a
that-
baby. You have a baby
No,
now. So
no, like she actually is a good child and goes to bed at like a decent hour. It's me and my ex.
Which, by the way, we're gonna break the new. I mean, it's already been broken on her Facebook before, but Dakota will be attending her first wrestling show this year.
Shout out to Invictus.
Or maybe AEW, maybe
Well,
TOS,
It's gonna be one of them, but I would love because Invictus. I'm gonna bring Alex Aceta into this. He does a lot of outdoor promotion, so I know if he ends up having an outdoor promotion, which he most likely will in the summer, it's gonna be a little easier for me to bring my child because she can just then run around like a nut that she is. So,
But going back on Ichiban, yeah, like seeing him rise up, seeing guys like the Miracle Generation who didn't start through TOS, but they really found their feet. I'm hoping I'm not getting this wrong. I feel like they really found their feet together in TOS when they were wrestling, putting on like bangers of matches. Kylon King and Dustin Flash Waller, the Miracle Generation, along with Ichiban, and seeing these guys rise up, like the TOS roster. And we're going back to Indies. I know you wanted to go to Royal Rumble, but Indies is my specialty. The Test of Strength roster has no shortage of talent. It's a no-brainer. You got veteran names like Dan the Man.
I'm only mad at him because he like tried to give me used garbage.
Dude, he gave me a can of Play-Doh that said I was a simp.
Rob, you got to start coming to these.
Don,
They're so great.
I'll talk about my presence in a second. Go ahead, Jackie G.
But you got veteran names like Dan the Man, Slick Wagner Brown, the Underground King, who's we don't know what's up with him lately. You got Bobby Ocean. You got all these veteran names. You got young, hot guys like Ichiban, Mike Scott, the Moonlight Sun, Mike Skyros, Mark Alexander.
You have to remember these are the guys that are hungry. These are hungry guys.
You got trying to think who else. Nolan Pierce, Red Sawyer, Patrick Saint.
Is Red Sawyer the one that lives in
Sammy
a dumpster?
Diaz, who I feel like is literally Sammy Diaz is one of the guys I sit there and
He's
I
right
wonder
there.
what.
He's right there. He's like Sammy Diaz. He's like right there on the cusp of getting to that.
I feel like my question on Sammy Diaz is I feel like this guy should be already on TV.
Yeah. Probably will.
And I really believe that, and I'm not trying to knock anybody else on the TOS roster. I love them all dearly. I want to know. I love Sammy Diaz, even if he rips up my signs and puts it not on me. But I feel he should be signed. I really do.
I feel
right place, right time.
And then you
right
got
people.
crowd favorites like Ryan Frost. You got crowd favorites like trying to think. Now I'm drawing a blank. Ryan Frost.
That's okay. You know what I found, because it's like right there over in the corner. This was Dante Claus's little gift bag when he was handing out presents, right?
Was that last year?
Yes, this was last year.
When you were at that show with us.
I got a broken candy cane.
I got a half-drinking water bottle.
I got a half-drinking water bottle.
I got
used toilet paper.
2 used toilet paper rolls.
At least they're empty.
least you didn't get like
with nothing on them.
at least you didn't get an empty Play-Doh cup that said called me a simp, you know?
And then one Y Terry got a present from Dante Claus and slipped it in my gift bag because he was sitting behind me because he didn't want it. And I did not know until I looked in my bag again. A pouch of sauce, spaghetti sauce. It's a pouch.
Oh, that's great.
It's probably
That's
well
so
expired
random.
by now, I'm sure. I'll have to look at the. I don't see an
I don't think I've
expiration
ever
date.
seen that unless it's like an MRE or something.
Oh wait. No, I see numbers, but no expiration. But yeah,
It's probably the code.
By the way, you probably
this
should have
thing is
refrigerated
is
it.
fucking generic.
It should have probably been in the
That's
refrigerator.
probably all
Don.
green and moldy on the
Ugh.
inside.
This shit
Put it
is
in a
probably as
plastic
generic
bag.
as you get right there. Those are my presents from Dante
Yeah,
Claus.
so you get,
One
like, guys
one
like
white
Damon,
Terry.
man, but like there is no shortage of, but as I was saying, there is no shortage of talent on the TOS
No.
roster. And then you got even newer young guys coming up through the roster.
And you have
at the
people that
moment.
want to be in TOS
And-
now.
And I want to say right now, and I'm giving him his flowers right now, Johnny Burke, Unstoppable JB, I am
Give him a round of
so
applause, man.
proud of you, brother. Like, no
Sorry, I
matter
missed that
you
show.
busted your butt
For 2 years.
to get on, to get your first match, dude. And when I saw you come out, no joke, I was ready to cry because I was so fucking
Aw.
happy for you.
I knew before you did.
I was worried. Yeah, I know. Like that bums me out. You know, she seems
The
to
pop
figure out
was awesome.
No, he told
The
me.
pop was awesome, right, Jackie G?
Oh, the pop was
That's
amazing.
awesome.
I thought the roof was gonna come off
That's
the dojo. Like he looked so stoked. We got so behind him, and I loved it until Ryan Frost came out, and then he tried to eliminate Frost, and I sat there and I said,
Felt a certain way.
said, JB, if you eliminate Frost, I'm unfriending you on Facebook. And I
JB was in there for a while too in that Rumble.
He got
Young
eliminated
Man
by
Rumble.
Frost, I think, right?
Yeah. So my question for all three of you is, I'm going to do a statement and a question in this one. It's
Yeah.
kind of A and B. Congratulations on the return of the Rising Star. Love
Thank you.
seeing it. I like seeing the graphics coming out, seeing the guests that you're going to be having on, and all of that good stuff. But I did not expect the three of you. First off, what is
You didn't
going
let him
on?
know about Robbie?
Surprise.
No,
No,
I
I
told him
have-
I was going to bring on somebody else. So
I had no
Because
clue.
you didn't let me know you were coming on,
No.
Don. And then he didn't know. Well, he didn't know that you were coming on.
So what
and then
the,
we were supposed to do this Friday, and then this got thrown on all over the place
well, that wouldn't be the Rising Star. if it
because
was
she's
a little
going to the
chaotic.
Led Zeppelin tribute show, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. And,
Okay. Get the
it's
set.
just-
Get,
and
get
that's
the
great,
lead out.
you know. And just like so, everything just got flip flopped
So,
and everything. Go
What
ahead.
what our vision now with the Rising Star is that we're gonna have like kind of filler episodes in between interviews, where we can actually have conversations. You know,
Okay.
what's new, what's coming up. Again, trying to get the indie circuit where it should be, where I think it is now, but more. We want it, I guess, in the way more exploded. Like
We
you
want
know,
to really make something special out of this because we were doing it, and when we started it the first go around, I think it was just becoming too similar to like the Sign Rip podcast, and I love it.
right?
But it was just we were just interviewing wrestlers, and that's all.
That's all it was.
But we were just doing it by video, and you know there was a point where our computer crashed.
Ugh.
I was kind of getting the same vibe that it was the same thing, and at one point I was just like you know, I had to travel to sometimes go to her place, or we would do it over video chat
Right.
like this. And it was just, there was a point where, and she got crazy hours at her job that came at her. And then I was,
Also dealing with a now turning 1-year-old at the time too.
so it was really difficult to do at the time. And we kind of put it on the back burner, and then she moved to Carmel, and then she moved back out of Carmel.
It's just it
And-
wasn't the right time.
And
You know.
we were trying to make everything work, and then we were like, "Oh, we thought we had an idea that we were going to do it in 2023, and late 2023, and just with Dakota, and then them
I had the loss of my dad.
she,
It was
she
just,
lost her dad. I was dealing with my aunt's cancer that came through. There was just so much.
it was just a
going on at
lot.
once,
And then
and
you
we were getting
know,
overwhelmed with stuff. And the unfortunate thing about it is, then you know, everything was just world kept just flip flopping everything. And
well, what made me get the bug back was one, my daughter's father passed away back in November, and I needed something to occupy my time. You know,
Mhm.
besides bowling, you know, this is where our three common other ground is we're bowlers, and I needed
Yeah,
something to
bowling,
look
tie
forward to.
shine.
Like, and I told Joe, like right before New Year's, I said, let's bring it back. But I want it to be different. I want it to be something that people can relate to, even not as a wrestler,
And
like as a fan.
And
Like,
I want to clarify, I was a little uncomfortable at first because, I was doing a Sign Rip podcast for so long. What many people don't know, and I feel so bad about this because there's still 2 episodes I need to release, and I feel bad for Mark Alexander and Paid in Full because I did have them on, and it's weird. Like, so when I was doing Sign Rip podcast, I was getting burnt out by the end of the year.
Right.
I was exhausted because I was trying to do it to keep myself going. I'm sorry, Mark, Robby. I was trying to do something to keep me invested in wrestling at the time during the pandemic. Pandemic comes around, it starts to slow down. We're starting to go to shows again. I'm like, oh yeah, that's good. Halfway through the year in 2021, I was starting to get burnt out because it's like, all right, well, I have free time and then I don't have much free time. And it's just, I was getting so exhausted from it. So, and then Kelsey and I were going to do Rising Star. So I figured, okay, it's not just me doing it. I was going to put all my time into that. And I still wanted to do the Sign Rip podcast, but I was kind of bummed out because I have like OCD. So like when we started doing video, I was like, fuck, I really wish we could have done the older episodes with video. And it was bumming me out. So I was going to invest all my time into Rising Star with her because I get along with her with wrestling when it comes to wrestling. And it's one thing I know me and her definitely have a huge bond on. The problem was everything that was going on. And my problem is when I get going with something that I'm committed to,
you give your 110%.
I'm 110%. I want to keep going. I want to keep grinding. I want to keep grinding. And I didn't, and this was my own mistake. I didn't take into account that she still has a daughter and she had things going on. And that was
in a personal world,
and that was my mistake because I'm all go. I don't have children. She does. And I was just go, 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 go. And I want to keep recording. So I kept hitting up guests. I was hitting up people. And
he's my PR guys.
and then unfortunately, her computer crashed, which might have been a blessing.
Right. It kind of, in a way, put the pause on things because then that's when my life started really taking a turn. My dad was sick, and
and we were going to take a break. And then it's a funny story. We were supposed to have Landon Hale come on, and that night we had Landon Hale all set up and everything, and then her computer crashed.
And I just couldn't get it back on. That was it. The hard drive was gone.
And I felt so bad because Landon is one of the most nicest people in the world. And because we also had Ryan Peterson lined up, and
we had a lot of people lined up,
Jay
and then
Boujii, unfortunately,
no.
But like we had so much set up, and then when we took the break, we were talking about it in like September of 2022, when she was living in Carmel, and I was like, we were like, yeah, and then I think we kind of got the spark a little bit after my birthday when Alex Rojas and Ryan Frost, we started thinking about it again. We were ready to go.
It was a thought,
and then it just kind of fizzled out. And then we went to Real Recognize Heel, and then we started talking about it again, and we were getting the idea of rolling. And then I got the podcast spark again, so I tried to restart up Sign Rip podcast. That's why in 2021 you saw like a bunch of guests all throughout 2020 and 2021. 2022 you only saw one guest in Slick Legend Brown.
5 times. Sorry.
And I felt bad because even when I was getting episodes out at the beginning, I was burning them out. I was getting them out one and done, and then I'd have them up the next day. But with work and everything and not having all the free time, and then Dakota being born, and I loved spending time with Dakota, my niece, it was getting to a point where it was just like, okay, this is getting a little too much for me. Sometimes I can't do this all by myself.
Well, and then not to cut you off, but that's why this year I was like, no, we're gonna make us a thing. Like this is gonna be another. It's not gonna be our top priority. Right? Like I was hesitant too, but then I finally was like, no, we don't invest the money into it because I was like, I'm gonna get the gear. I'm gonna get the setup.
Which is why we've got our first sponsored show next Friday night at We Are Wrestling down in the Bronx. No, Jay Boujii, I am not sponsoring you.
Oh my God.
But there is a familiar face that we all know that we may or may not be sponsoring, and I'm not going to say that yet. But
we'll announce it the day before.
But I'm pretty sure if you've seen the promotions I've gone to, you may know who it is. So.
But anyway, back to quick that. So the whole purpose of the podcast now is going to be different than when we had it originally. It's going to be different from even the Sign Rip podcast. It's going to be conversations. Like, that's why I brought my friend on, because of, I want to know what got you into wrestling. Like, not even just as a wrestler, like as a fan. Like, what was it that intrigued you, sparked you, whatever the case may be? Even like just in anyone's hobbies or, just general likes, you have a reason behind it, whether it's a family member or, you just happen to be at someone's house and it was on and you're just like, oh, I kind of like that. And then, go home and you do your research. Like, for me, and like, again, we'll get back to the Royal Rumble too. It was my neighbors and my uncle. Like, one night I was down at my neighbor's house and it was a Friday night and he was like, oh, we're going to watch SmackDown. I was like, what is that? I had no idea. I've only known about WWE. I didn't know there was like, different names. And then it was actually the Batista run. And it was right after Eddie Guerrero had died. And this is when, Rey Mysterio was like, doing his reign, his original reign. And something sparked in me and I got addicted. And I think when you are a wrestling fan, you're 110% invested into it. Like, you become a diehard. And even when you stop watching for that little like time blips, because you have things going on or, you're tired and you don't want to put it on at 8:00 and watch 3 hours, but you eventually get back into it. Like, whether it's, you see some, little kid and they're wearing, oh my God, like they're wearing a Randy Orton shirt. And you're like, oh my God, now I got to check that out. Or you see something now with social media the way it is, I can be scrolling through TikTok and I'll send them to Rob and be like, what is R-Truth doing? Like, and then it makes you want to watch it again because you're just like, oh my God, that is so funny. Or, oh my God, that looks real serious. Like, they actually look like they're really about to like kill each other on the mat. So that's another direction I want to take the podcast into, is I want to interview fans. I want to interview people who, whether they didn't have the means or even want to be in the ring, but they still have a want to be a part of the community that it has so built.
And as I said, that was a mistake on my part at the beginning because I was investing too much again in just wrestling personalities. Because there's guys that used to hit me up on the Sign Rip podcast, and I didn't even really know how to do video at the time when I first started. And I was like, I don't know, I don't really know if I want to like. And I was always like, yeah, we'll get you on at some point. And I was just kind of like, I feel bad to some people because they really wanted to come on and talk, and I just felt guilty because I'm just like.
But again, hit us up.
I didn't want
social media.
I didn't want to talk to like. I don't want to sound like a jerk by saying this. I wanted to talk to wrestlers.
Right.
I wanted to invest my time in that at the point because it's to help build them up. Because I don't know if anybody wants to sit there and hear me talk with Billy. For
well, you have to literally. Well, I wouldn't say like certain. I'm not saying that to be me. Like, I would want to talk to actual real.
I get tired of
fans.
talking to Billy all the time as it is, but
I want to talk to real wrestling fans. Like, we have plans on bringing Jess Skull on. We have plans on bringing Johnny Burke eventually, and he was a fan that became now a wrestler.
And that was never a knock on JB. I love him. Like I said, it's just I wanted to put him on. It's just the timing was wrong for me at the time, and I had I had a closed mind at the time to just do that.
I'm trying to open his mind up.
No, she has been opening my mind, and this is why he's here. And I'm cool with it. And I did want to start talking to fans.
And I feel like that's another thing too. I feel like you don't realize that the average person, unless you go to shows, like you don't realize that you can go to a bowling alley or a grocery store and not realize like, oh man, there is wrestling fans other than just conventions. Or so that's why I was like, oh, Rob, do you want to be the first guest so that we can, just have a general conversation? Like, the Royal Rumble's coming up. It's one of my favorite pay-per-views, and I know it's a lot of people's favorite pay-per-views because, again, you never know what's going to happen. Yeah. Let's talk about it. Like, let's have conversations, and then, we will have wrestlers on the show, and then we're going to have conversations. Yes. It's not always just about the rising
and we
of
do
somebody.
Got some wrestlers lined up in the next coming weeks. So, but yeah, like I was saying, like, I'm glad with the new direction we're going with it, and I do like it. Like I said, I was also just worried that I felt like it was falling too much on me with the Sign Rip podcast because I had so much to do by myself. Now that I have help with Kelsey and this whole new setup, it makes it a lot more easier. And like, you know what? And the funny thing is, like when I started going to indie shows, I just went because I wanted to see the wrestlers. But no, as time has gone on, being a regular at NEW, being a regular at TOS, being a regular at Invictus, being a regular at TTW, it's not just the wrestlers now that I became close with. A lot of the fans that are also there, like you, Don, like Terry Duffy, like Karen, like Joshie, like over at Invictus, this one girl Cassidy that I see all the time, who's a massive Jay Boujii fan. Like the people.
You were just gonna hate on that man the rest of the night, aren't you?
He started with me. He took my hat off. He ripped my sign. He stuffed it in there. Don's got the footage. But, I bully Jay Boujii like he bullies Q, right?
You also duck tie, but
Yeah. No, shut up. Don't. You know. I actually like Ty as a
I
wrestler, not
love
as a
Ty
bowler.
Shine.
It's the opposite. Even though he ripped my sign too. No, but like every fan that I've met through shows, at some point I've actually had bonds with that I feel like I've had close. Sometimes I feel like I've been closer with fans that I've met through shows than people that I've known in my real life at
Right.
times. And that's not a knock on any family members or friends. It's just, I'll have Terry Duffy checking in on me every now and then. I'll have Vinny hit me up every now and then. Alex Rojas and I will chat a little bit every now and then. And it's such a great feeling that like I enjoy it all. And it's like I feel like I'm at a family. I feel like we're going to like a high school family reunion every time we're meeting up at a show. And it's that nice feeling of showing up and knowing there's people that love the same thing that I do. And I could be having, and I've said this probably plenty of times on Stirring the Pot, Don, that could be having the worst weekend in the world. Like I could be sitting there, my car could be going to shit. I could be getting overwhelmed at work. I could be getting into bickering fights with her or anything. And then at the end of the week, I'm sitting down, going through the doors of the Columbia Club or the TOS Dojo or the NEW Arena or the Richfield Park, New Jersey Mecca, and we're sitting there all enjoying with people that enjoy the same thing that we do, and it just blows me away that for those 2-3 hours we're all enjoying something the same that we all enjoy.
That's how I feel when we're at the bowling alley.
Yeah, but that's the beauty for me of wrestling is like we're all so different, but we
Right.
have that something in common, right?
Yeah.
That we can bond over and just kind of, be ourselves with, and make connections, with you guys with the indie scene and all these wrestlers you're talking about, the rising stars, right? Like that's to me that's always been my favorite thing about this community.
So
I just love when we go to the bowling alley and all of a sudden he could be so far down the alley, mind you. Our bowling alley is pretty big. And all of a sudden, because we have a jukebox and you can download the app and you can play music, and they always have wrestling music on there. All of a sudden, he will literally start playing a song, and I will find him. Like, I will scream. I'll be like, Rob, did you do that? And he's just like,
wrestling has influenced so much of the things I do on the bowling alley lanes too. It's crazy because you'll sit there like Kelsey's known this forever. Whenever I used to get a strike, I would scream delete.
right.
Like Matt Hardy. Whenever I got a spare, I would do like Kenny Omega. Just like to get that one pin. If I get 3 strikes in a row, I'd go wonderful, and like I was just enjoying it and everything.
And people literally, they didn't even know what that was about, but you even to this day, and he would do this like 3 years ago. To this day, he came back to bowling. He got bit by the bug again, and
I feel like the funny thing is I feel like I needed it more than I wanted to admit.
well, and then he came back, gets a strike, and this dude that he didn't even really know was going delete, and he's just like, what, like. Dude, I don't even do that anymore. Like, how did you even know that?
I still do it once in a while.
But it's just funny how, like, people that don't even know that we're doing wrestling sayings will, like, repeat it.
Yeah.
But we're getting off topic. So,
Influence,
Rob.
But no, the wrestling influence is there, so there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I know. I'm saying.
As
like,
I said, even I would name our team after things from wrestling. If you saw old team names, Hounds of Bowling would be a Shield reference. Final Deletion was a Matt Hardy reference.
Insanely
Bowlers. Take a guess where that was from. RJ Rude made the logo for us.
Yep.
Who I love to death, by the way.
A missed opportunity, Jackie G, on maybe a strike or something. You could have used Robert Roode's, Bobby Roode's, glorious. You could have done it very big, very bold,
Rob
very
played that
loud.
like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. All of a sudden, I'm like, is that fucking Robert Roode?
Dude,
and like he's like right next to me, bowling on the other lane, and I'm just like, I just look at him, and he's just like doing the glorious, and I'm just like, oh my god. And then of course you have like these old women and like older men, and I hate to like knock them for a second, but then they're like, what is this?
Some of them really don't like themes. Some of them really don't like the theme songs because they sound like death metal.
Yeah, like some of
every time I play this fire.
Oh my god, you have the one. What is this garbage? And I'm just like, it's music.
Dude, like I don't get it myself. Like I like all music, but like at the same time, I don't want to sit there and hear country the entire night either.
I had a friend of mine. His name was Brennan, and he got my band in for an open mic jam at the Polish Club. Now at the Polish Club, you can still hang out, smoke cigarettes. All of the old timers go there. And, it is what it is, right? But we had an eclectic set, and we only played one set. It was like 12 songs. And one of them was Sweating Bullets by Megadeth. And I was singing because I fired our singer the day of said open mic because he was a pain in my balls. And I sang everything instead while I played guitar. And we were doing Sweating Bullets by Megadeth. Over on the opposite side of the room, we had an old man pick up his dinner plate and smash it on the floor because he was so irate with the devil music that we were putting in his ear holes. And I didn't know at the time.
Ear
But we
holes.
were told this after our set, and I couldn't have been any fucking happier. That was an amazing. that was
Well, that was like last
amazing
night. So you were
theater.
playing Living Color, obviously, which is CM Punk's name, and then John, who's the jolliest man you'll ever meet, and he's like a big music guy. Like this is how I bonded over with these older men. Like they always look at me and they go, "We don't understand how you listen to this music. Like you are so ahead of your time." And I'm just like, "Yeah, I know." Thank my mom for that. Shout out to Mariana. But he was singing the song, and I was like, "Do you even know like whose theme song is?" He goes, "No, it's Living Color. I love Living Color." I was like, "All right, that's fine." Like
I put on a lot of
You know?
indie themes on the jukebox too, so you'll randomly hear like Big Time Rush because of
well,
Insanely Weird.
that people probably get confused and think like a little 5-year-old.
Because there'll be random
one
times
myself.
you'll be hearing like this fire burns. You'll 1 minute hear AC/DC shook me all night long.
Yeah.
Next you'll be hearing like
Big time, and we're just like, who
every-
did that?
and it's like what the hell? And then you'll be hearing like Killswitch Engage, This Fire Burns. Then you'll be hearing like some gangster rap song like straight out of Compton. Next thing you know, you're getting freaking Poison's Nothing But a Good Time.
Oh
And
yeah,
then
keep
you're
going,
getting
bud.
freaking
Yeah,
then you're getting Dead Mouse, and it's
Oh.
just like the mix is so crazy. Then you'll get Wiz
Hate them.
Khalifa, and it is just they'll all be popping up at once, and it's just like, what is going on?
I'm just gonna say Dead Mouse and anything that has dubstep related when it comes to a bowling alley is the worst
Yeah.
music ever to be played at a bowling alley. That is horrible. And I will shout out Marcos and his entire team right now if they ever do listen to this. F you guys. I
Oh,
become
God,
very
we're gonna
close
get
friends with
beef the
Scott.
other people. We're gonna
Oh
have to
my
start
god.
cutting.
No,
We're
like
gonna have to
I was
start
so
cutting promos now.
mad. I was so angry. Like I looked at Rob because mind you, he's the VP of our league. And I was like, if they don't stop, I'm gonna break every speaker because they were playing it nonstop.
And now you know how I felt the last time I went Moonlight Bowling and they played nothing but like
Drake.
yeah, and not Drake Bell.
No,
I'm
I
just
know.
all I'm saying, when you want to cut a promo, just let me know. I got access to the microphone.
Yeah, no
Ooh,
problem.
that's cool. I always shout. Whenever they start playing the really
I
bad
just
music,
sit down
I like throw
Indian
things at them.
style in the middle of my bowling lane and be like, I have a problem with everybody
Who's playing Dead Mouse right now?
who sits there and
So-
criticizes me for screaming delete, you know? But no.
You
But anyway,
want
so
to
now
do?
we're off topic. So Rob,
No,
I just
no,
want to
no.
know what has got you.
Don was trying to say
I
something,
can't
Kelsey.
hear him.
Oh no. Go ahead.
No, because we got a little off topic. I wanted to ask Rob. This is the main reason why we brought him on the show. What bit you? Like, what was it that just got you like on the train to the wrestling?
So it's gonna sound a little cliche for somebody my age, but the Montreal Screwjob.
Oh, really?
Had a friend of mine.
Ooh.
I was 8 years old during this. I had a friend of mine who was a big wrestling fan. His father grew up watching it, got him into it. And I'm in school that Monday after the screw job, and he's telling me all about it. You know, I'm 8 years old. Everything's real to us. And he just was the way he explained it. I was like, I have to start watching this.
Right.
So I started watching, Raw at that point, and then, as we go into the Attitude Era and Stone Cold, and just kind of just seeing the way that everything went, like it just bit me.
So a friend introduced you to wrestling, right?
Yeah.
No, I was curious
Yeah.
because I got introduced to it the same way, but I'll let you finish your story.
Yeah.
I didn't want to
and
interrupt you.
just over the years, just watching, more than the storylines to me, what dragged me in was the athleticism. Just watching these
Right.
guys do what they can do, and then guys like the Undertaker being that big,
And move.
yeah, being able to move like that. Kane doing the flying clotheslines, like a man 6'9", 300+ pounds shouldn't be able to fly through the air. And then kind of as I grew up, kind of fell out of it. High school, it's not cool anymore.
Yeah, it's like one of those secret things. Like people that play Dungeons and Dragons on the low, they're like, oh yeah, that's not cool. And in reality, they're in their bed watching Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. Fell out of it, and then had a different friend, moved in with him. He was watching Monday Night Raw, and I'm like, dude, you still watch this? And he was like, yeah. And I sat down, and I fell back in love.
Of course.
And I've been watching every Monday, every Friday for the last 12 years now. Give or take.
My thing is, it's like you said, you kind of fall out of it, and then it's always another person that kind of it reels you back in. It's like they're going fishing, and they don't even mean to. You're just sitting there doing your thing, just like a fisherman. You're doing your thing, and then all of a sudden you get a bite, and you're just like, oh shit, I love this.
It's crazy too, because like what drew me into wrestling, and it sounded like the stupidest story in the world. I tell this story to everybody. 1994, you know, if that gives away my age, you know. 1994, SummerSlam, 94. I was brought on because I was playing a lot of video games, a lot of Mortal Kombat and Super Nintendo, and I saw on TV my friend at the time was like, "Hey, come over, SummerSlam. You see this match?" It was Undertaker versus the Undertaker. So I'm thinking, "Oh God, that's awesome! That's so cool because it's like Mortal Kombat." And my friend just looked at me. He's like, "You're an idiot." I'm like, "I'm sorry." I came for Undertaker versus Undertaker. I stayed for Bret Hart versus Owen Hart in the steel cage, and that's what got me hooked. And like they said, there was a point I fell out in like 2001, 2002. So I didn't watch any wrestling from 2002 to 2005. And I got back into it when I moved out of my mom's house. And, you know, the spark's been lit.
It's funny how it's always a friend. Like my neighbors. I mean, like you said, back in elementary school, I had a friend at the time. He was really into the NWO. Like really into it. And you know, of course it sparked me. But then, you know, as a girl, you're like, I don't know. Like, I don't want to be, I was already picked on enough for glasses and buck teeth. Like, I didn't want to get picked on anymore for like in wrestling. So then in high school, my neighbors, like I said, they just were like, we always did a Friday night pizza thing and play video games. And they were like, no, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to watch SmackDown. And again, this was the right after Eddie Guerrero died. And this is bringing back Melina into the mix. She was like accusing Batista of like touching her inappropriate or something like that. And that drew me in. I was like, what? It's dramatic, but it's like fun. And then it's funny. And like, it's just this whole
so it's
big category of, right. Like it's just all these categories kind of shoved into this program. And then to know it's like every week and it doesn't stop. It's not like, you know, your typical TV show where like, you know, they have a break and you're just like anxiously waiting. Like, you know, with Walking Dead, remember when they would have their big launches, like, you know, you're not waiting every couple months for a new episode to drop or whatever. So it's like, no matter what, you will always have it on. And that's what I love about it. And then I got into pay-per-views. My first pay-per-view was the Royal Rumble of 2000. Was it 6? Yeah, I think it was
2006 maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, because it was the one where Triple H came out as number one, and then Rey Mysterio was doing paying his homage to Eddie Guerrero, and that's the one he won. So it wasn't. It was 2006 because 2005 was when Cena and Batista out of the ring at the same time, and that's when Vince McMahon got that walk because he
blew both his quads coming into
both his quads, and he's sitting there like a toddler on the mat going, blah, 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 blah. What happened? Da, 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 da. And it's like
almost grabbed Kelsey's one, and
I remember, and that was another cool thing too. Like before, you know, streaming was big and everything. I remember Suncoast. If anyone remembers Suncoast in the mall, I would buy old Royal Rumble DVDs, and I still have them because for some reason the Royal Rumble, like I had gotten, and at that point I had gotten WrestleMania, I've gotten SummerSlam, and for some reason I just loved the surprise aspect of the Royal Rumble because you had guys like Tatanka who were big in the 80s show up, and you going up against these young up and comers and these obviously faster, more angelic guys. And again, 80s wrestlers were a little more in the slower category unless you were the Ultimate Warrior on like speed. Like he's like the only one that was actually like a little Sonic in the ring.
Hell of a drug.
Like, you know, you have these older guys like still trying to say, hey, we're still relevant in a way and we can keep up with the young crowd and, you know, keep their name going. And so my stepfather had asked me today, like, because we always do that. We watch pay-per-views together, even though we live in 2 different states, but we, you know, text back and forth. And he goes, do you think Hulk Hogan's going to come back? And I said, why would he come back?
No.
But then Rob, you know, before the show, he goes, well, you know, it's his 35th or 40th anniversary. And I was like, oh, well, then, yeah, I guess, you know, like the poor guy has been through the ringer. Like he made his mistakes, but, you know, he's still a loved person. He has his following, you know, you even still, and there was a recent TikTok, like 6 months ago, this mini Hulkamaniac. Like that's the thing about wrestling. And it's the thing about the wrestler. Like you could be completely irrelevant in the picture now, but you'll still have a fan base, and that's depending on how big you are.
And I didn't mean to interrupt you. That's why, like, anybody who sits there and they run their mouth about, oh, CM Punk's horrible this, CM Punk that, CM Punk, like, blah, blah, blah. All these people that talk all this garbage about CM Punk, the crazy thing about it, they'll all say that, and I said it so many times, he comes back at Survivor Series.
Pop just as hard.
You know?
I think he had the bigger pop at WWE than he ever did. Like, AEW was a pop. Like, that was a pop. But when he showed up at WWE, that roof, if it could have flown off, it was going to fly right off.
How many guys go away for 10 years but their names never leave our lips.
No.
Right.
Anytime they went to Chicago, CM Punk,
It was
CM.
not just Chicago, it was everywhere. But that again, that's kind of the thing with Hogan is that like without
See, that
him,
sounds like the same thing in Connecticut with Jay Boujii, except that Boujii sucks.
Oh
Boujii
my
sucks
God.
whenever he
Leave
comes
this
to
poor guy
Connecticut.
alone.
I swear to God, Connecticut is like anti-Boujii country
Well, back to WWE and
or
like,
anti-Boujii state because he gets ripped hard there
Wow.
by us. You know?
I thought you
And Terry with one Y.
Oh my God! Look at the way
Well,
you say it.
Terry was on. Terry wants to sit there and act like he never hated.
We have to
Boujii,
get Terry
like,
on the podcast.
Oh, he's a definite. You know, I'm gonna make fun of him.
He's definitely one of the
for,
people
you
I
know.
want on here. But
No.
I just think it's funny how, like, again, CM Punk, he's another like cult of personality. He's a cult favorite. Like, he's gonna go down whether people like it or not. He's gonna go down as a goat. His in-ring performances have gotten a little ring rust, but you know what? Like, he's gonna go down as the pipe bomber. He's the one that's, you know, he's just gonna go down as something, you know, and this is going to be a little controversial, but I know CM Punk, no, it's not CM Punk. Jericho's in a little hot water over something he may or may not have done, like, 5 years ago. And, you know, I hate to say it. Like, I was a big AEW fan. I was huge. Like, I was, you know, there for the rise. I was there for the beginning. And now we were just having this conversation right before the show. It's gotten very stale and moldy. And I hate to say that because I love competition, but now TNA with the name back, it's not Impact anymore. It's back to the original TNA. I feel like they are going to give a little bit of WWE a run for their money, just a little bit. Like WWE is always going to be the top of the mountain. It's never going to change unless, like, you know, bad trade.
The only thing I feel bad for with AEW and WWE is that, like, I mean, like, it's never anything. Like, if I ever see somebody I've seen on the indies there, you know, I'm so proud for them. Like, I'm still so proud of, like, Private Party. I'm still so proud of Darby Allin and all these guys. I've seen, like, guys like Sammy Diaz and these guys get, like, spots on AEW, which I really am happy for them, you know, and everything, you know, even though Sammy Diaz got choked out by Hook once. But
even Stevens, you know, they were on WWE as,
yeah,
like, fillers.
it makes me happy to see them get these extra spots all the time, you know. I'm pulling the curtain back a little bit, like Don says sometimes. But like I said, at the same time, I don't want AEW to go out of business, but if they want to really make it work,
they need to just let Tony Khan stop. Just let him be the wallet. Just be the paycheck. Let someone create, and not Vince Russo.
They need to find a true booker.
A real booker that can, and I know they didn't want to do storylines. I know that was their whole shtick and their whole gimmick in the beginning. But you watch it, and again, I haven't watched it in a while, but we just had this conversation. I only watched it, I think, when Edge appeared. His storyline with Christian is they want to go out together, or eventually. I think that's the whole thing. And I heard there was a rumor with the Dudley Boys that they would want to come back and, like, face them with the Hardy Boys one more time, which that would be a crowd pleaser, a crowd, right? Like, I would too. I'd be like, holy shit, 3 of the best tag teams in the world going at it one more time. Yeah, hell yeah. But then you have all these other guys. You don't know who they are. Sting was their biggest draw at the time. Same with Jericho, because he was like, oh, well, you know. But now it's just.
So
it's
just like for
there.
me, to bring it back, like, the athleticism drew me to wrestling, but the storylines of what has kept me, right? And, you know, when I throw in AEW, I don't know why these two guys are fighting each other, right? Like,
there's
WWE,
no reason.
There's a clear reason for it. This guy did whatever, right? You know, and AEW is just, let's throw 2 guys at the wall and see.
Right, like, oh, let's just make another championship just so somebody's happy. And it's like, I'm seeing, and I didn't want this to happen, but I see another
oversaturation.
But I also see another rise and fall of WCW. Like, and it's funny, like, the people that killed WCW aren't even nowhere near this product. It's I hate to say it's Tony Khan with unlimited funds, just doing what he wants. He's a big wrestling fan, and that's great and all, but when you have a product and you have 2 guys who had an idea, and granted, you were their financial backing, but now they've run it to the ground because, you know, I hate to say it, they're 2 spoiled brats. Like, you know, you have 2 spoiled brats running the show, and
they're taking the blueprint that TNA had, you know, 20 years ago.
Yes.
And doing the
and
same
even
thing.
WCW had with Eric Bischoff. Like, it all starts from that blueprint, and then they go off course.
They're bringing in the ex WWE guys that are high priced and not the same draw as they used to be. Like, yeah, Edge, you know, it's great. I loved watching him come back. I grew up watching him. seeing him come back after a decade was incredible.
Right.
But like
with an injury that was supposed to shelf him for the rest of his career.
yeah, and with AEW, the feud with Christian Cage, like everything I've seen on that it's fantastic.
Right.
Because they've been best
But
friends.
that's
for
them
their
working
lives.
it because they have 100% creative control. So they together with WWE's background are putting on a spectacular show
But
together.
that's a part of the problem. 100% creative control from the talent. That's not
Right.
how
You need
survive.
guidance. It's like a guidance counselor. You need someone that's going to, hey, I'm going to give you 3 ideas, roll with it. If one doesn't work, we'll take it back and we'll figure it out. That's what NXT is for. So if you have guys that hit the main roster and decided, hey, it's not working anymore. You had, who's that guy with the fucking selfie stick and that
Tyler
guy?
Breeze?
Yeah,
Tyler
like you had
Breeze.
Tyler Breeze go down there a couple of times. You had,
So,
I mean, right now you have Baron Corbin back in NXT.
right, like you have
That's fair.
guys that go back to their home roots that are trying to rebrand themselves. And I feel like with AEW, you're just keep it. Like I loved Orange Cassidy. Don't get me wrong. I thought his gimmick was so great that he was kind of like the sloth in the ring. And now I feel like it's stale. Like it's.
that's why, like I said,
He was like Daniel Bryan, but like slow.
and that's why I said if guys like Ichiban and they do hopefully get a contract, but they will, and then they God forbid something happens, they do have homes though they can go back to
Right.
after if something doesn't, God forbid, happen right.
But I mean, it's so funny when AEW first came out, you wanted to see your guys, like the indie guys.
I
make
did.
it. I wanted to see.
I'm not gonna lie. I wanted.
So did I. I was
for
hoping
them.
Waves and Curls. I was hoping for so
The
many.
only
And
thing
now
I was
I'm like,
worried
ugh,
about
I kind of
was
don't
that
want
they
them
weren't
on
gonna-
there.
That I would never see them again if they got signed to like one of the major companies. That's
Well,
the only
yeah,
thing.
with WWE at the time,
So
with Vince, you couldn't go anywhere. Like
Yeah.
you were WWE, and that was it. You
Right.
couldn't do signings unless you were on a legendary contract. What stars of the '80s were the only ones allowed to go to like indie shows. But with AEW, they didn't want to do that. That's what made them different at the time. They could do New Japan. They could go on Impact. Like Impact can come to them, and like they cross promoted so many things. And it's like, wow, that's awesome. Like you can actually see these guys outside of an AEW ring because not everyone can afford to go to AEW or WWE. Main events or even just house shows can get expensive. So they had the best idea. It's just now they buried themselves, and it would have to take rebranding in a sense, not with the name, but with the direction that they're going to really draw back. Like, because I'm not going to tune in to a 2-hour show just to see Edge and Christian. Like, I hate to say that I'm a big Edge fan. I'm a big Christian fan. I'm not going to waste 2 hours of my life or even just recording space on my DVR for just one match. Like, I rather, watch the entire thing or at least be able to forward through it. Like with WWE now, they have so many good things going. And again, Hunter's running the show and he knows talent. He knows what works, what doesn't work. He knows you can't just punish somebody for one bad thing. Like, if they got a following, a fan base, he knows to work with them. And I feel like with AEW, it's like, oh, yeah, you have this big fan base, but we're going to kill you off because we're not going to put you on the show. Or we're going to put you on the show on YouTube, or we're going to put you on this other show. And it's like, but not everyone's going to sit there and go on AEW Dark. Not everyone's going to sit there for that other, whatever that other one was. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel bad, and I shouldn't, because that's just my guilty thing. Like, I always feel bad for things that I have no control over. But it's like, they had a good product. Like, I'll never forget Double or Nothing. Their first pay-per-view was so good. They made it free to everybody so
like
that everybody could watch it. What?
I feel like I gotta pee.
Great. Go to the bathroom.
I'm gonna do that. I'm sorry.
But like, I don't know. That's a little off topic too. But I hope.
Excuse me.
I just hope
I did drink like
with
6 things.
WWE, I hope they continue to where they're going, because the thing they got going with R-Truth, hysterical. I can't. Like, I laugh every week. And I hate to say that, like, I love when wrestling is more serious. I do. But to have that little bit of comic relief, genius.
But yeah, to go, kind of go on topic with Triple H, Vince McMahon, right? Like you sit back and you watch back in the day with Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona killing it right now, right? All of the momentum he had with the fans, with Z True Long Island Story, the Internet Championship, all of that,
Yeah.
just to get pushed off a stage by Kane and never to see him again. And then we were talking about this earlier. You have, a guy like LA Knight comes in as Max Dupree because Vince doesn't understand it.
Right.
And then Vince is gone. Now you have him as,
The actual,
hottest thing in
literally,
the company right now.
probably since Cena.
Apologies, I really needed to go though.
Like, he honestly
calls, man.
was,
Yeah.
like, Ellie, I went to a show with my cousin
Oh.
in the city.
Oh.
and I at first
Handle,
really
dude.
didn't. I knew of Alien, but I didn't know him. And the whole thing and the whole just everything, like he draws a crowd, man. Like even if you don't know this guy, like you are intrigued by him.
That's the beauty of some of these guys, like charisma, right? And like
Right.
Some of the indie guys you guys were talking about earlier. Like I'm not as well versed on the indies.
I'm very well versed on the indies, and so is Don. So
I've been to a couple NEW shows over the years, but
oh really?
yeah, it's been a while, pre-COVID.
Okay.
But I've been to a couple here and there, and you see that budding charisma,
Right.
of I'm gonna bring it back, the rising stars, right? And then you see what they can become. Like at some, I was just watching a video earlier, LA Knight, Sean Rickard, right? You could see from early on he had what it takes.
Right.
And
natural born talent.
Yep, and that's just that charisma that draws you in and just keeps you going, keeps you chanting his name or his catchphrase.
And that's kind of the sad part about Zack Ryder. He had it. He was kind of following that Jersey Shore like vibe and being kind of funny with the whole YouTube thing.
I think that's just wasn't his fault, unfortunately.
No, and a lot of the up and
comers
comers
when he shouldn't have.
So
right, and that happened to Ziggler. It happened to Ziggler. It happened. Alberto Del Rio got handed a title, and it's like the people that shouldn't have had a title got a title.
At least somebody like Ziggler got that recognition, right?
He did.
Nick Nemeth now, he's gonna absolutely kill it.
He's
in
like
TNA, in New Japan, wherever else he goes. But some guys naturally get over, and then when you're not paying attention to that, when somebody is like, no, he's not big enough, they don't go anywhere.
And I think that's what's so discouraging. That's what Vince did. And the thing that's so different about Vince and Triple H was a wrestler. He knows what it takes to build your name and get yourself out there. Vince really didn't ever have to do that. So he didn't know what it actually took to become a name.
Yeah.
He was already a name. His dad owned the company. He took over the company. Same with Shane, same with Stephanie. Like they never had to actually work hard in being somebody. They were already somebody. They were born into it. It's like the Hiltons. It's like, anyone with a famous name behind them. Like, Hunter or Paul Levesque, he had to become something. He wanted to be somebody, and he did right. He made friends with the right people, did the right things. Like, even though the whole curtain call thing, like, kind of screwed him over, but he wrote, exactly. Like, he rose above it. And I think if you get kicked down or denied and stuff, you can't let that discourage you. If you really think you have something, like, again,
keep pushing.
Like the Even Stevens, like I feel like the
don't
tag
forget
team,
that Don is still here.
I know. What do you think about the tag team
he's
division?
Just sitting there like a statue.
I know. Like I keep thinking he's frozen.
I feel bad because he's here, and I don't want him to feel like he can't.
No, I want him. He can input his entire
I feel
thing.
bad. So what do I think of what?
No, I want Don. Like, what do you think now of the tag team division? Like, I feel like with the Royal Rumble, those are singles. I don't like when the tag teamers go into the Royal Rumble.
I don't like it either, and for my own reasons, like.
They should do a tag team Royal Rumble.
I just don't like it for the simple fact that there's no guarantee that either guy is going to win unless they plan on splitting them up.
Right, and then if you know if they win.
In 1998, like I used to get so annoyed with the Royal Rumble because you'd have like the APA in the Rumble, you'd have the Hardys in the Rumble, you'd have like,
and they'd always come out back to back.
Yeah, and then you get like one half of the tag team come out,
and then like
Rumble,
10 people later,
you get one half of the tag team coming out into the Rumble. Like I was sitting there watching in 1998, and it drove me freaking nuts because like I could easily point out who was not going to win the Rumble based on the fact that they were in a tag team. It's like, oh yeah, Mosh of the Headbangers is coming out number 6.
Out of my head.
And there's no shot he's going to win. Why are they trying to make it sound like, oh, he could win? Like
and that's like when the New Day would come in.
Please, thank you.
You have that every year with people, right?
Like, no, but like it's a lot less obvious than it was back then. Like back then it was really obvious. I'm like, why you see like maybe 6 or 7 guys who you have a good chance of winning the Rumble back then, but like now it's better suited because you could literally anybody on that roster could win and they could throw a surprise at you out of nowhere. That's why I hated the Rumble back in the day because you get random guys that would come in that'd be in a tag team. It'd be like half the Nation of Domination. The
bushwhackers come walking in and walking out.
It's like one half is not going to win. Like half is definitely not going to win. That's why I would be like sitting there when I saw stuff like yeah, Austin's going to win. It's like yeah, it's going to be The Rock.
So I'm going to ask Don this question: do you think if they should ever do this, which I think they should, is do like a mini tag team battle royale or Royal Rumble? Like have your top 5 or top 6 tag teamers come in individually, But if one or the two are last man standing, they get a shot at the title, or they get a shot at picking who they can go up against, whether it's SmackDown's tag or Raw's tag.
You're trying to be too clever with it because they do it on TV all the time. If you're gonna have to do a Rumble, you're gonna have to do multi tag teams to get the Royal Rumble feel. Then you're gonna have 3 Royal Rumbles in one show,
which I don't think would be bad.
Difficulty.
That's the whole show. There's nothing, like you got the the Fatal 4-Way this year. You got Kevin Owens, Logan Paul. Like you don't have as much. You don't have any time for.
Yeah. But also look at they got to have a lot of talent for that. So you're not just gonna have everybody on the roster being in a tag team. You're gonna have to get some legends to come out, and that's extra cash that they got to spend to get them to come out. So it's a
girl can dream, right?
It's complicated.
You got to bring back the headbangers for that.
Oh my god, that like when you said Maj, I was like, get out of my head. I was literally thinking of that Royal Rumble specifically. I'm like,
so yeah.
So who do you think is going to happen though in the Royal Rumble this year?
What do I think is going to happen?
Yeah.
But with the winner, is that the question?
Who do you think is going to show up?
Oh God, who knows? You never know with WWE in their pockets, and now that they got TKO, I mean, come on, their pockets are wicked deep.
Did you say TKO? Imagine if TKO showed up. Little Spider-Man.
Well, him and TKO holding.
I don't mind him, but
that'd be funny.
I don't mind TKO. I don't mind TKO Konsenko, who I don't want to see on WWE.
Oh, TV. if you say Jay Boujii one more time, I'm gonna flick you in the nose.
You realize he's gonna be at We Are Wrestling, and he's been on a rampage lately of beating up fans. You realize he literally.
You're probably his target. You're gonna be his target,
dude. He literally called me out on Facebook. He said, Joe Gramont, you're next. And
I don't blame him now because all you've done this entire podcast is talk shit about the guy.
Look at this. She never's on my side. This is why I know. She's never on my side. She sits here drinking her wine. It's never going to be you. Well, you instigate.
You are literally poking the poor guy.
You piss off Dan the Man. You do this.
Well, listen, I don't think you piss off Dan the Man.
Yeah, meanwhile, she got MJF to flip me off at a Creative Pro show.
That was hysterical,
by the way. I almost broke my neck doing it, so.
He came out of the bathroom out of nowhere, and I was like, is that MJF? Oh my God, Joe, that's MJF. He's like, what? And the guy just stares at him and went, and I lost it. Because I didn't expect, this dude to be there. That was pretty cool. But, I mean, I don't know. I think WWE with the Royal Rumble.
Don, I'm sorry if I cut you off on that.
He's not wrong. Anybody can show up at any time. I have a feeling The Rock's going to enter in. And
you look so tired, Don.
Well, here's the thing. You have... The Rock has already come out, did a big thing with Jinder. Crowd was into it. It's been talked about a lot.
That was hysterical.
Jinder did a great job with The Rock. That was fantastic. But now, with the news of all 3 shows being new respective homes, Raw is going to be on Netflix, SmackDown is going to be on USA, and NXT is going to be on CW. And The Rock is now on the board of directors. A guy like that who puts on a corporate tie for WWE is now signed to 2 contracts, just like Triple H is all the time. He always gets 2 contracts for being corporate and still as an active wrestler when they need him, and he still gets a contract for that. So with The Rock, it wouldn't be a big surprise because we just saw him, and there's brand new news as of today or yesterday that he was on the board of directors. So that's 2 Rock sightings in a very short time, and the Royal Rumble is this Saturday.
Oh, I like that.
I feel that The Rock wouldn't be much of a surprise. Would the crowd pop? Of course they would. They would fucking freak the fuck out because it's The Rock.
Oh my God, though, if Stone Cold came out right after the young
that would be the
alternative. Part of that era would be.
That's the alternative is to bring out Stone Cold. That's the alternative because Stone Cold hasn't been seen.
Can't imagine.
So you can bring.
I mean, he's been seen playing with his cat though on Instagram, and it's adorable.
But who the hell is going to? Stone Cold's not going to agree to come out as a surprise entrant for the Royal Rumble. There's a lot of wishful thinking, but a lot of money and a lot of crazy getting the red tape done
Well, I'm not gonna lie. If I ever heard Triple H's theme drop, I probably would fall on the floor because
He's
he
still
will
an
always
active
be my
wrestler.
favorite. But he can't. Like his heart condition, man, he can't. I'm like, no.
What do
this
you
poor
guys
boy.
think?
What did we say for 10 years about Edge? We were just talking about him.
But
He can't.
but he had a neck fusion surgery. It's not like his heart's gonna give out if he does a pedigree wrong.
But
Like,
he's one.
He could be
inch away from
paralyzed,
losing
dude.
Everything, right?
right. I mean, but I would
Edge could be
rather.
paralyzed. Like Triple H could die of heart problems. So
Right.
that's both serious. Like
Yeah,
Right.
Christian out for 7 years with all the concussions. You know.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
All it takes is one, and
And Dan O'Brien with his neck injury, and
Yeah.
and AJ
But
Lee,
what do they
and
say about
Paige.
wrestling? Never say never.
Never say never. But I mean, I just one day hope to hear it's all about the game just one more time. And I hope I'm live when they're live when I hear it. But a girl can dream.
Do all three of you have Netflix? And if you don't,
I
are you
do.
gonna watch Raw on Netflix?
I am. I think I will.
I've been kind of watching Raw again ever since CM Punk came back, and it's not just because of that. It's just like I wasn't able to really want to get into it. Like it's so weird. Like I used to spend every night watching Raw and SmackDown, and then I just got so used to not watching it
Right.
and doing other things and going to the gym that I just didn't really care anymore. And it was I didn't even watch it during the pandemic. It was crazy.
Oh, I
God,
couldn't.
that
I'm
was rough.
sorry. I couldn't.
I
Like I
liked our
tried.
Wednesday. I liked our Wednesday night
Wow.
AEW nights, but half the time we would never even be watching AEW. We'd be sitting there playing with Dakota while it was on in the background, and we'd catch everything.
At least with AEW, they had the wrestlers come out and watch it, and
but the
people in
thing was,
background.
like I said, it was just to get together to
it was
hang
just,
out.
yeah, it was like a noise.
And
filler.
then after a while, it was when we stopped doing it, and I love Simon to death, but he was like, "Oh, are you coming over?" I'm like, not really. He's like, "Why not? Why don't you want to come over for AEW?" He's like, "Dude, I told you, we haven't really been watching AEW. It's not the knock."
Yeah, I felt bad. He stopped asking me, "Oh, have you watched?" Because I lost so much interest in AEW, and I hate
It
to
was
say
just becoming more. Oh, sorry.
no, that was me.
I pulled you out.
It's funny.
We were just trying to do it more I think that when it became more of a social thing where we were hanging out, it was on in the background. We were just not invested anymore.
No.
When we were hanging out, I wasn't invested in Raw, and I wasn't invested in SmackDown or AEW. Now I'm a little bit more invested in Raw again. The problem is it comes on so late, and it was different when I didn't have to get up early for work. Now it's a lot more difficult for me to want to sit there and watch all night.
Right.
But it is a different time in WWE right now with obviously the TKO involved. You have Triple H is still fully and head of creative. So with the TKO demand for stars and Triple H is creative, you're getting all of these stars, Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, CM Punk. I mean, Judgment Day is really shining right now. Rhea Ripley is my fucking all-time favorite out of anybody right now because of what.
Speaking of, what are they? Not the
Of what
Dark
she-
Order. Oh my God, why can't I think of their name
Of
right
what she
now?
was and what she's become. Rhea Ripley is definitely a fucking WWE staple right now.
Yeah.
And
She's the definition
by
of
bringing all of this star power, I'm surprised Fox, and I know the TV deal was a little bit previous, but I'm really surprised Fox passed on a renewal with WWE specifically.
Well, I think they got probably other shit going on,
I
but
mean, Netflix paid a lot of money.
Well, 500 million for 10 years equals $5 billion. They have it, but what does wrestling look like in 10 years? What
I don't know.
does the streaming environment look like?
I think
in
everything
10
at that
years?
point. I think that's why Netflix pulled that move, because I think at some point cable is going to go back to almost like basic, and that everything else is going to be mostly streaming. I have a really funny feeling, because then you have
I don't have
Tubi, you
cable.
have
Yeah,
have all
but,
these, and if you have a Samsung TV, they literally have Samsung channels that are your main cable channels. So I have a
Right now-
feeling that that's where our direction of cable is going to go.
I don't
Yeah.
have basic cable. I use streaming TV.
Right.
I don't watch cable.
Right. So
Oh,
I think
okay.
I think Netflix was really smart in that. And then I think and Hulu has their live TV,
But the world,
package.
the world moves so fast, and technology moves
Right.
so fast.
And I think Netflix did the right move.
To Don's point, where are we going to be in 10 years? In 10 years, is Netflix still going to be Netflix?
10
Right.
years, we'll probably be watching everything off the internet.
Or off our
Or we're
arms,
just going to hit a button on our head?
Yeah,
And it'll
or in your
appear in our-
glasses,
it'll appear
the
in our
Google,
eyes,
the
so.
Google glasses.
By that time, Netflix is going to be called Z because Zuckerberg fucking bought it.
Don't you mean
Or-
D?
or
Disney?
Disney has Hulu, which is their competitor. But no, or it's gonna be who owns Tesla again? Who's that guy?
Musk.
Yeah, or it's gonna be
I hate him.
M from,
I hate him.
or it's gonna be some like
I
creepy
still refuse
number.
to call Twitter X.
No, it's Twitter.
No.
Yeah, it's Twitter. It's like that's like the Tappan Zee Bridge. It's still the Tappan Zee Bridge.
I know people that will purposely not update their phones because they do not want to turn it to X.
It might
It's
force
funny.
Which I'm totally going off topic. Twitter now is just a free porn site. Like anytime I ever go on there, it's literally boobs, and I'm like, what is
Let's
this?
get back on the topic of wrestling.
That's what I said. Like I was like,
wait, what? Free porn? What?
oh God, Don.
Kels, what's going on here?
I don't know.
Maybe it might be your phone. I don't know.
Oh, maybe.
Put it down. Come on.
No, it was my boss. So anyway, Royal Rumble. So what got me back lately into Raw's R-Truth.
That's
I
right.
really want to see.
I love him.
Let's not go all night here either. Remember.
No, I know. We're gonna wrap it up very soon. I have a feeling R-Truth is gonna pull something out. Really funny, and
I'm calling it right now. R-Truth's gonna eliminate JD McDonough, thinking that means JD McDonough's out of the Judgment Day.
Instead of the Rumble.
Yeah, instead of the
Also,
Rumble. And then
R-Truth winning
Finn
the
Balor
Rumble.
or Damian Priest are gonna get pissed off, and then they're gonna throw Truth out the Rumble. And he's like, "But I'm in the judge now. I'm out of the Judgment Day," and it's something like that. I think that's.
I just think whatever they're doing with R-Truth, I think it's genius. I think.
You want to please every fan at WrestleMania? R-Truth knocks off Roman Reigns.
Oh my God! Yeah, what is going on with that? Get off your phone, Joe.
Dude, you do it a lot too, so stop.
That's another. When is he gonna drop the title? Like I'm.
Whenever he wants.
Probably the Rumble.
That is the one
Gonna be
negative
the
thing.
Rumble.
But here's my thing. We talked about The Rock earlier, right? Rock Roman at WrestleMania does not need the title.
I know it's gonna be.
Right?
Randy Orton's gonna beat Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes is gonna finish the story with Randy Orton instead, and that's the perfect story right there.
Right.
You
The
think
guy that
Orton
you came up.
pins Reigns takes the pinfall?
I think he will.
Okay.
So that sets up Rock versus Roman
That's
at WrestleMania. Randy Orton versus Cody, so Cody could finish the story and not get screwed. And CM Punk can take on Seth Rollins, and he could walk out WrestleMania.
I'm just
and the
so
night
over
after
it.
WrestleMania, CM Punk's gonna get cashed in on by Damian Priest.
I'm just so
I like
over
that.
Roman with the title. I'm so over it. Like if I can
yeah.
give a percentage of how much I love WWE right now, it's 90%.
Is it 2,000 some odd days?
Yeah, like it's like that 10% is Roman Reigns. Like I can't stand what they're doing. Like they're pretty much doing what they used to do, and that's that little old like dust that wasn't cleaned off yet.
Yeah.
That of
Well-
the new rebranding. Like
Roman's reign is still Vince's fingerprints.
right.
You know, that's like the last vestige. Of
Right. And
Vince
I feel
McMahon.
like once that gets finally, swept up and thrown away, I think WWE will be 100% like perfect. Because then you're giving people exactly what they want. They want to see the title flip around. They want to see, other people have titles and get their chance. Even if like they don't technically deserve it, whether they're not like capable physically or whatever. Like
Yep.
you still want
But-
people to get a chance.
but
If
that
Rey
then puts
Mysterio
you-
can like go up against Big Show,
But that puts you back in the day when the titles didn't mean as much. They were a prop, right? Like the nice thing with,
I didn't
with
think
what
that.
Triple H is doing. Look at Gunther's reign. Look at Seth's reign. Look
Right.
at Roman. It's about building the prestige of that title, especially for the World Heavyweight Championship, which is brand new, quote unquote. But just having that reign, especially in the beginning, it makes the title mean.
Okay, I didn't think of
what
it that
they
way.
Used to mean, right? Like that's the whole conversation with Bruno and Roman.
Wow.
Bruno held it for what, 7.5 years.
Okay, so now when you're saying it that way, yes, but I think I'm just so over Roman.
That's
I'm so over it. What are your thoughts, Don, as we wrap things up?
You were still pregnant
Oh.
with Dakota when Roman was champion. I'm sorry, I had to add that.
That puts that in
He's like a
perspective.
he's literally like a bad pregnancy.
Roman Reigns has been champion for the entirety of since Dakota's been born.
It's 3.5 years of fucking holding a title.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Don.
No, I feel that Roman has done a lot for the company. I feel that he's produced some of the best stuff, with obviously the co-stars being the rest of the bloodline and Paul Heyman, of course, because he's just fucking brilliant at everything he does. The facials, the movements, the words,
He's
the
everything. He's the
inflection.
total manager package. He's almost
fucking
like
amazing.
he died.
I really do feel that Roman has done some of the best stuff for WWE in a very, very long time.
Bobby Heenan.
And yes, it might feel stale at this time, but if they kept the bloodline beating on people, still dominating and doing their thing, instead of him being gone and Jimmy being some kind of fucking comic relief side clown with Solo, and Jay doing his thing, but separately, I'm not a fan. Honestly, the Usos, I am not a fan separately at all.
No.
They need to either be a tag
kind of like
team
Jay
or
on
they
his
need
own a
to
little
be
bit.
with the bloodline.
I like that he's kind of sprung away from it, though. I do. I like that he's trying to get his own name and he's trying to do his own thing.
I don't dislike it, but that's, you know, arguably the greatest tag team of all time. You know, it's kind of
see,
hard to see.
I love Kevin Owens with
that's why
Sami Zayn,
arguably,
your
right?
twin.
We could have that conversation, but it's kind of hard to see them apart.
Apart,
That's also what I said, you know, when
Dudley's
Edge and
personally
Christian,
with all the titles they won, but that's just me. So,
right.
Again, arguably, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, but that's the same thing I said with Edge and Christian when they split up originally.
Right.
Like, it's hard to see Edge without Christian.
Right. And look
what
who
he
rose
became.
versus who didn't. Yeah. And that's the kind of crappy thing about being a tag partner when you're known as a tag team for so long. Look at the APA.
It just frustrates me though that like it just frustrates me as hell, like with Matt and Jeff Hardy though, because Matt has proven he could be a really good single star, and I just feel like he gets punished all the time when Jeff Hardy screws up.
Right.
So that's just my opinion.
Well, and that was the argument we just kind of said is like, no matter what tag team you are, there's always going to be the one that rises, and then there's always going to be the one that kind of falls behind. And
but I don't feel like the other one should get punished.
No, absolutely not. Like they're individuals, you know, they make their own choices. They shouldn't be punished for someone else's bad choices. But with Edge and Christian, Edge is rise.
Wesley, he rose up after his tag partner got kind of in a weird mess over there, and
ceremoniously dumped.
Yep.
Well, and then look at HBK and what that other guy, Marty Jannetty is just like he's all messed up. Like, like it's crazy how like a tag team can do that. Like, and
no, you want to see messed up. You either look at Nick Nolte or fucking you know one of those guys. That's messed up.
Yeah.
I think what the Usos are doing is kind of smart in a way. Like, you know, one's trying to build up the other brother, the other one's kind of trying to find his own voice. And I think that in a way is cool because they're not equally rising above one another. They're kind of just, they're staying both above water. You know, they're both,
they're separate.
Yeah, like they're not, no one's outbeating the other, which I think is cool. Like, you don't really see that with any tag teams. You don't. So I think, and if they were to get back together, it wouldn't be a surprise. It would be just, oh, okay. Like, you know, look at what happened with the New Day when one would split off. Like, it really didn't work.
With Biggie's title run.
Yeah, like, and then, you know, you had those two kind of just still doing their thing. Like, even with Kofi Kingston had the title for a while, like, you know, they didn't really split up. They were still a unit, but then they would go separate. Like, I think that's kind of what Jey Uso is kind of doing right now. He's like, I'm always going to be an Uso, but I'm doing my own thing just right now.
Since you guys know that era of WWE, I go all the way back to like WWF. So you guys are in this era. Who was Big E a bodyguard for when he first came in?
Dolph Ziggler.
Dolph Ziggler.
AJ Lee.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take AJ Lee. Dolph Ziggler, I was like, and I know Dolph brought him up from NXT and all that. Yeah. It was more for an AJ Lee thing. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
I remember, I was about to say that too. I remember that. I was watching that the other day.
But that's kind of another, you know, again, we're gonna wrap things up in like a few seconds.
Yeah,
but
let's not try to get into
I know, but that's another thing. Like a New Day, I feel like kind of fizzled out in a weird way. Like I'm kind of waiting for that again, the 10% of where WWE. For like 10 years now, I feel like it's just like, all right, like but that's even like DX. I can say the same thing. I love DX. Don't get me wrong. I love Shawn Michaels. Like I love all that, but you got to let it go.
Like they're never.
You're 50 years old. You can't be a rebel anymore.
There's something to be said about keeping things fresh. You know, to go back to, you know, some.
That's why, like
Chris Jericho, he constantly refreshes who he is.
Not even like that. Like that's why, like there's
not
to knock anybody on the indie scene, but there are times I just get tired of seeing the same matches over and over and over again. I'm not knocking anybody in particular, but I've seen a promotion that I've gone to that they've done the same match like once a year, and I'm just like, come on, man. I feel like they just throw it together, and I hate
like no one wants to go stale bread. You want fresh bread. Like you want to
mention names or promotions.
It's like eating your favorite sandwich. You want to try things up, try things new. You know, you always go back to what you love, but you
But
want to
if you're
see.
gonna do
different
it,
things.
make it different from the last time.
Right. Like, but hey,
Don't make it similar. Like if they ever do Stepdads versus Even Stevens 2, make it different than what it was.
yeah,
at
not have
TCW.
Q
Tell a
come
different
out
story in
and
the
ruin
match.
it.
Let it go with Q.
Nope. Never
You
gonna
know,
happen.
Yeah, let it go. He's a fellow Yankees fan. That's why I got it on him. Even though he loves to torment me about Frost too. So
Oh my god.
trust me, he screws favorites of mine too. Okay, I didn't forget the Waterbury screw job.
Oh god.
You know, he screwed Frost. He screwed your Even Stevens. So we should be in the same.
So we're
boat.
even.
Yeah,
Stevens.
Steven.
We're even, Stevens.
We're even right here.
Yay. All right, everyone. This was a long first episode, I think, but in a good way.
Hey, you know what? We're working out the kinks on
We're
everything.
gonna work out the thinkings. Everyone can like and comment
So,
and tell us what you like and don't
comment,
like.
subscribe. Special thanks to Robby. Special thanks to Don Kincaid for joining us tonight. We've probably kept him up past his bedtime.
Past my
No.
bedtime.
Past my bedtime too. But Don, thank you for coming on today. Robby, thank
No
you for
problem.
coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Future guests lined up that we got coming up on the Rising Star podcast. We have Landon Hale coming up, the Good Doctor. We have RJ Rude, and we have the Crocodile King Alan Compass on the radar coming up. And
Also, Jessica, look out for her.
and we got other future stars coming in. So, and JB, we're gonna get in contact with you soon, and the Red Dog. So, thank you all for joining us tonight.
And let me make a quick thing. Thank you all for giving us all your support, because without that and without all your DMs and ideas, we would not have wanted to come back. So I got to give a special shout out to every single person that has been through this crazy chain of our lives.
Thank you.
That's it.